It's a marketing vehicle. The client gets to have the content exactly how they want it, and we provide the means to get it to the target demographic.
Interesting.
And it's, a lot of people said, "Oh, that'll never work." Well, there's been 6 or 7 publications that said it wouldn't work, and they're no longer around. So
there you go. Welcome back to the Just Build Baby Studio. You're listening to the BuildX Podcast, your ultimate guide to creating exceptional homes, innovative living spaces, and staying informed on all aspects of residential building technology. I'm your host, Buzz Artiano. Today we're excited to have Stanley Blackmur in studio with us. Stanley is the owner of BlackRock Group, Inc., and is the publisher of the South Shore Magazine Company with 39 years of experience in the publishing industry. Welcome.
Thank you.
I know this one's been on the books for a while, so we're finally here.
Yeah, you and I met back in the spring.
Yeah, we were both a little younger then.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we get into South Shore Magazine, I'd like to speak to my guests and find out how we came to be at South Shore Magazine. Maybe go back before you were South Shore Magazine and tell us what you were doing and how you. Maybe tell us about your radio show and give us the history. Well, give us the history of Stanley.
I have been in the graphic arts industry for almost 40 years. I was in the printing business for the first part of my career.
Yeah.
Commercial printing. I've worked for a company based up in Portland, Maine. We had 3 plants around New England. I was selling a lot to the college and tourism industry, doing their brochures and catalogs and things of that nature. And over time, the printing industry had a lot of consolidation due to desktop publishing, et cetera. And so I was in that for about 15 years with the company in Maine and then a couple of others at the end. And then...
and so you were on the road selling? Or?
Yeah, I was on the road selling. I had Massachusetts, Rhode Island for my territory.
Wow, so big area.
It sure was. Sure was. So first year I had my brand new car, I put 50,000 miles on it. So when I got rid of it,
and you were thinking to yourself, "Damn, I should have got mileage."
Well, I did. I got an allowance in mileage, but I got when I turned the car in after 3 years, I had 250,000 miles. My seat was all worn out. The other seats in the car were completely factory new. After that, I decided to do something completely different for a little while. A friend of mine's family, I live in Hingham, and his family had run a dairy business in Hingham for quite a long time. And the farm had been sold off to build condos and stuff. And this guy, my friend, was born a generation too late. He always wanted to be a farmer and have cows. And there was his dad still had a small milk route at that point in time, which they were buying milk from elsewhere. And my friend wanted to build the business back up. He had a cousin in Vermont that had a farm, and we resurrected Hornstra Farms milk in glass bottles. We went from 300 customers to 1,500 in the first year and a half.
And so so this was obviously before the clickbait and internet and
it was
so
all guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, so tell us about how were you marketing it then?
I called in some favors from friends that were in the newspaper business, et cetera, but most of it was literally stopping at a bus stop in the morning, handing out information to the moms. And
so real belly-to-belly marketing.
Belly-to-belly
old
marketing.
School,
and then
here's who we are.
We did some touch-a-truck type things.
Yeah.
And we did trucks on the parade, and we're handing out little samples of chocolate milk.
Yeah.
I left after 3.5, 4 years. It was a family business. At that point in time, really wasn't a lot of room for growth.
Sure.
But anyone who's familiar with Hornstra Farms now, they have a huge location in Norwell. They just bought Peaceful Meadows over in Whitman. Yeah. And they serve the entire South Shore. I think we had 1 truck at that point in time. I think they have 7 or 8 now, and retail shops and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we were a customer of them for a while. I don't remember when it stopped. But
great product.
Yeah.
Great product.
So you literally were on the ground floor of that.
I was. We went, like I said, from 300 to 1,500 customers in about a year and a half. And now I think they have several thousand.
Wow. And so that was, it's still the same gentleman that owns it?
Yep, John Hornstra, and
Wow.
his kids are involved in it now, and his whole family's involved in it, which is great. And they have, I can't tell you how many employees they have. It's
Yeah.
a couple of dozen anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I did that, and then I was like, all right, what's my skill set? And I didn't want to go back into the printing business because it was just, the margins were so low, and it was just super cutthroat. So advertising sales and printing sales, not a huge differential between the two. So I went to work for community newspapers, which at that time was owned by Fidelity Investments. I worked out of the Marshfield office and had the Weymouth area for my territory. We were assigned a newspaper, it was the Weymouth News back then. It was a pretty vibrant paper. Yeah. Then there was a couple of other products that went along with that. So I sold space advertising for that for a couple of years, and dating myself, but...
so that was door to door as well?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so you've knocked on a lot of doors.
I have knocked on a lot of doors. I've met a lot of people. So after a couple of years of doing that, like I said, I'm dating myself. I answered a tiny postage stamp size ad in the Boston Sunday Globe for a gentleman who was on the Cape and Islands and had a couple of magazines down there. And one of them was like a home and garden oriented, and the other was just a seasonal travel publication. So, being familiar with that element from the printing business was great. So he was looking for someone to start a magazine on the South Shore. And then that quickly evolved to opening one in the western suburbs, Metro West, and then the North Shore. So in the course of a year, we opened 3 publications, and quite busy.
Yeah.
Quite busy. And so the South Shore we started first, and then the other 2 after. About a year and a half in, I made an offer to purchase South Shore and the western suburb, Metro West magazine, but not the North Shore, just because I live in Hingham and getting to the North Shore is next to impossible.
Yeah,
and I didn't really have a lot of contacts up there.
Yeah, that's no fun either. I mean, that's just a tough ride.
So for the last 25 years, I've been running. It started out as South Shore Home and Garden.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then we evolved into South Shore Magazine after 3 years and developed the content a little more. We are a different model than most magazines. We are a direct mail only publication that goes to 15,000 of the highest tax assessed valued homes from Milton through Plymouth.
So that's your target market.
Yeah.
So you go by census data or?
Yeah, we buy lists based upon the tax assessed value of the home.
Oh, so you go by the value of the home. Okay.
Yeah, tax assessed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We can't do market value because that fluctuates so much.
100%.
So, and by virtue of having the highest tax assessed value, also are reaching a high income bracket. Sure. We're quarterly, and we also have the magazine digitally, which is exactly the same content as the print, but as a value added for our clients. And it's been an interesting ride.
And so the direct, when you say direct mail, you mail it to the person's house.
Right. There are no subscriptions, no newsstand copies.
So it just shows up at your house.
Yes.
Okay.
And the other thing that makes us different is our articles are essentially business profiles or organizational profiles.
I believe I'm on your list. I've been on your list, so I received the magazine.
Yeah, it's a marketing vehicle. The client gets to have the content exactly how they want it, and we provide the means to get it to the target demographic.
Interesting.
And it's a lot of people said, "Oh, that'll never work." Well, there's been 6 or 7 publications that said it wouldn't work, and they're no longer around. So
there you go. Never say never, right?
Correct.
Yeah, no, the same thing happened to me. We started on a whim. We started running on ads on 99.1, and 30% of our traffic to the open house is from the radio.
Awesome.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And the other 30% is from an old-fashioned sign out on the road that says ADU open house with an arrow.
Gotta love it. Whatever works, right?
But it's fascinating when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
So tell me more about the magazine. So you bought it, and then it wasn't always that format. Was it always a non-subscription, or?
Yes.
So it was always direct mail. So you haven't changed that at all?
Nope. The
and how did you decide on 15,000? Where did that number come from?
Well, it's just from a cost standpoint, especially from postage.
Right.
And that's a cost that never goes down.
No.
Probably get postage increases at least per year.
Wow.
And then the other element, the printing paper and ink are expensive.
Yeah, and it's a really nicely printed.
Thank you. Yeah, having been in the business, it took a while to choose the paper. I have a art director that's been with me for 18 years. She has had lots of prior experience.
Yeah. No, it shows when you look at it.
Thank
100%.
you.
And so what happens with the digital version? Where does that go?
So we have an email list, and then I send the link out to all of our
Okay, so then if I was in the magazine, then I would just send that link to
you would have
anybody in my database.
Unlimited usage of the digital.
And is that evergreen, that stays forever, that link, that stays online?
Yeah, I have, you have to go through our website to the landing page, and all of our back issues back to like 2013.
Oh, wow, okay.
Are on
so if I run a feature article about BuildX, or is it an article, or what do we call it? Yeah, feature article about BuildX. Then that link that I have, I can keep sending that for years.
Exactly. Yeah, you can refer your clients to if you want to read more about us or learn more about us.
Interesting. Yeah.
And we also, on the print side, if someone does a profile article, we'll provide them with a few hundred copies that they can use for trade shows, or if you're going to someone's house and you want to leave behind. The articles have been very successful. One element that up until 10 years ago I really didn't think was part of the business model was the nonprofit organizations. Because I was very naive and said, well, nonprofit, they don't have any money to spend.
They have money, they just can't show a profit.
Well, exactly. And the case is many of them just don't know how to market themselves.
Sure, absolutely.
One of our greatest...
because they're mission-based and they're not necessarily have any savvy as far as how to get to people that are going to help them fulfill their mission.
Exactly.
Right.
One of our best clients and best stories was a group called Road to Responsibility, which services the intellectually disabled community. Yeah. And a guy, an old friend of mine who ran a small ad agency, got in touch with me and, hey, there's this small little organization in Marshfield, they need some help. Would you do some pro bono ads for them? I'm like, yeah, sure. Didn't think anything of it. And then I went down to meet with the CEO and get a better understanding of what they did, because it was funny because they still have this issue, Road to Responsibility. It sounds like a recovery program.
It does. It also sounds like a driving school.
Yeah. So
that's what I first thought when I saw
it. And they wrestle with that all the time. Well, we can't change our name, so they have Road to Responsibility, then 3 sentences after.
Yeah.
But so I made the suggestion to Chris White, who's the CEO, and you might want to consider doing one of these profile articles. They've worked extraordinarily well for the business community. And he said, yeah, let's give it a shot. Well, it hit the cover off the ball. They right out of the box, they got all sorts of calls about how to donate money, time, professional services, et cetera. And he's like, wow, we're on to something. So that's 10 years ago. Now they are in every issue that we do in some matter, either with a space ad. Once a year, they do a cover feature and an article. Like right now, they're in the midst of a capital campaign where they're trying to raise like $3 to $4 million for an endowment, because that segment relies exclusively, 85% of their budget is from funding. From the
so they want to take some of the whips that are out of it.
They want to make sure that the services they're providing their clients are even throughout time.
Yeah, I understand.
So we've done a couple of articles on that element for them, and then they just keep to keep top of mind awareness, they run a half-page ad in the other issues that they're not running an article. And we've worked with the last 10 years, probably 15 or so nonprofits across the South Shore.
Interesting.
School on Wheels, Father
Yeah.
Bill's Mainspring, Brain Aneurysm Foundation, all over the spectrum as far as what we've done. But we have done a lot with that one component, Arc of the South Shore, Cardinal Cushing, Friendship Home, RTR, all serving the special needs community.
Yeah.
Because it's just a niche that seems to, what we do seems to work well for them.
Yeah, plus obviously you're targeting the correct demographic of people that have
Correct.
disposable income and they want to help out.
Yeah, and if it's
Yeah.
not income, we've had a lot of, attorneys have donated their time, financial planners, and many other professional services that, that every company needs. So
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's great. That's a great story.
yeah.
Yeah, so you just never know, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm waiting for the next thing to pop into my head.
Yeah.
What area haven't I tapped? But,
Yeah, 100%.
trying to figure out that.
Yeah, you just never know what's going to come out of, you just have to get in there and start talking, right?
Yep.
You just
gotta-
never
you
know.
gotta-
I was
gotta be
I was
out
I was
there.
just telling this morning at the staff meeting, we're having a meeting and we just finished an ADU for a person at their property, and they showed up at an additional open house at a different property, and she's been to a few, and I said, just out of curiosity, I said, hey, would you be interested in working some of these open houses for pay?
Oh, perfect.
To meet clients and greet them and tell them your story? And she said, yeah.
Awesome.
So
Good opportunity for her and
yeah,
for you.
I mean, what better spokesman is that, right? I
Right.
mean,
Hey, it's not made up
but that
information.
literally just occurred to me while we were talking.
It's like a walking testimonial, right?
Yeah. So it just literally just it just popped out of my head. So
That's cool.
you just never know where it's going to come from.
No, that's for certain.
Yeah. So let's talk about the magazine. Let's pretend for a minute. So if I call, let's just use BuildX. So we're
Yeah.
just gonna say Build. So BuildX wants to work with Social Magazine.
As they should.
As they should. So tell
Keep that in there.
Yeah, keep that in there. Oh, we will. Well, maybe make that the opening line.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So tell me what that looks like. Take me from ring, ring, hello. Take me through the steps. What it looks like.
Generally speaking, I like to meet in person because
Okay.
then
So-
you get to know who you're working
So we
with.
set a
and
meeting
Set
and
up a meeting,
Yep.
whether it's at your office space or over lunch or what have you. And I basically give a snapshot of the history like we've talked about already.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, talk about our target demographic readership, and that the magazine is in print and digital, which is super important, and also hammering home again that which is not the case in all media companies. You don't have unlimited use of the materials. That's something that's super important to me, and I primarily work with small to medium-sized businesses. I mean, probably less than 5% are large corporate
Okay.
entities, but if they like a few years ago, we did a big spread on EMD Serono. They're an international, healthcare company, but they really wanted to show what their employee base and how they gave back to the community here on the South Shore. So that was super important. But those types of businesses are very uncommon for us to promote. Companies like BuildX or George Washington Toma Appliances.
Sure.
There were a couple of locations.
Yeah.
We do a fair amount with healthcare. So South Shore Hospital, BID Plymouth have been regular advertisers over the year. A lot of smaller medical practices.
Yeah, like specialists.
What got me through the recession in 2008, believe it or not, were dentists and cosmetic surgeons.
Yeah, sure.
You would think during
Well,
the
you gotta
recession
have your teeth
people would be
fixed, right.
cutting back on that stuff. But
Well, if you don't have
not
your
the
teeth,
case.
you don't have your teeth. You don't have anything. Yeah.
But the cosmetic surgeons were just it was crazy.
Interesting.
But
Yeah, like
so,
I said, you just never know, right?
The magazine's divided into a few sections. There's House and Home, Health and Wellness, Business, which is kind of a cachet for a number of business types, Our Community, which is the nonprofit. And then lastly, we have Great Taste, which is the food and beverage industry.
Got it.
So, for restaurants, people go, oh, do you review the restaurants? I go, absolutely not. The same format, we do a profile article, because they're visual businesses, more heavy on photography versus text. I have a group of photographers and writers that I use, and over the years I've found, food is one of the hardest things to photograph.
Really?
Just because the lighting has to be just right, and you need to really, arrange and fluff things up, and they're spraying, oil on top of the cheeseburger and stuff. Yeah. But so I have a couple of people that are great with that. I have a couple of people that I met through the real estate industry that are really good at doing, architecture and design-oriented photography. And same with the writers. There's certain writers that have a knack for writing about certain types of things. So I don't actually have any employees.
Yeah, it's the way to do it.
Everyone's on a contract basis. Sure. But like I said, my art director's been with me for 20 years, so it's...
but so let's back up a minute. So then we're at lunch, or you come to the office, and I say, okay, we want to work together. Then what happens?
Well, I suggest to you to try the magazine with the ad or two to create some awareness, and then...
Just a static ad.
Yeah, just do like a space ad.
Hey, BuildX, blah, 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 blah.
Third page, half page, full page, whatever the size may be. Have that in for an issue or two, and then I recommend doing one of the profile articles. Some people want to jump right in the box and do the profile article, and then I suggest, okay, we'll follow it up with some space advertising. Don't be a one and done, because that's not going to be as effective as having, being in there for a period of time. People become used to seeing your BuildX logo, or they're not ready to jump on an AD
and any given time, there's 3% of the people are ready to move forward with something.
Right. I mean, we've had instances. I use this one a lot. Kitchen designers, everyone wants a new kitchen, but the timing's not always right. So I've had a couple of times where people, we don't allow dated or time-sensitive material in the magazines. Like there's no Memorial Day sale or this, that, or the other thing. Occasionally there'll be some dates in there, like if someone had, going back to the nonprofits, if their gala is coming up, they're going to publish the dates. But I've had businesses that have, especially in the kitchen design, where the client has called the XYZ kitchen company and said, hey, I have a copy of South Shore Magazine. I love these cabinets on page 38. Do you still carry those? Well, yes, we do. Or no, we don't, but I can show you something similar. So we found that not having the dated and time sensitive can increase the shelf life. How many people hold on to magazines? I have no idea.
Yeah, you just never know in this day and age.
We try to make it appealing so that people want to keep it around at least for a couple of months.
Yeah. So I think generally a high quality printed material like that stays around longer than something like a flyer.
To get back to your original question, once we determine a package, then we if you're in the magazine more than twice, there are discounts available, or there may be right now I'm at deadline for my fall issue, and I reached out to some long time clients and said, hey, I've got some space. Let's talk about I can offer you a discount if we turn and burn real quick. So
and so let's pretend that now it's been a couple issues. I've run half-page ad, a quarter-page ad, whatever it is. And now I want to do the, what do you call it, a feature?
Business profile.
Business
or a feature.
Profile. Yeah. So what is that? What does that process look like?
So we provide a writer, we provide a photographer. I always market that this is your space, your blank palette to
and
have.
How many pages are we getting?
It can be anywhere from 2 to 4.
Wow, so quite a bit.
Yeah, and there's different price points for that, clearly.
Yeah.
But my writer will be in touch with you via phone or in person. We'll gather some initially with a phone call, just gather some highlights as to what you want in the article, what points you want to have. Is there a specific marketing message? Do you have, a new product coming online? In your case, do you have a different model of an ADU with floor plans and stuff? And then they sit down with you and interview you. They come back to you a day or two later with a draft for you to review, and you and they go over any edits or additions or deletions that want to take place. In the meantime, I will have assigned a photographer, or there may be photos that you like to use consistently that you use in your, on your website or other printed materials, and we can use those and or supplement that.
Yep.
Once I have the two pieces together, my art director puts together a proof or two of layout, send that to you, and you can look at one, say I like this, or you can say I like both, and then flip a coin and say I want to go with A or B.
And so what's that lead time from, for a feature from start to finish?
Generally
if
speaking,
I'm responding,
your time commitment as a client is couple 2-3 hours max. Lead time, I just got a call today from a client. Our deadline is the 19th of this month. We'll get that done early next week.
Okay, so you can move pretty quickly.
Yeah, with having a pool of writers and a pool of photographers that most times I can call on a whim and say, hey, can you be out there tomorrow or the next day? One time I did run in, I have 4 or 5 photographers that are available, and none of them could do it. So I was like, reached out to a couple other men and women that I knew that were in the business, and they got it done for me. But generally speaking, we can get things rolling within 2 days of you approving that you want to do it. And then within 7 to 8 days, we can have it done.
Okay, so pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then, so now I've approved it, and then so the 19th, so from the deadline of the 19th this month, how long before it lands in the customer's houses?
So once the 19th comes, it's probably 4 or so days for us to have all the proofs done. Then we will actually email out a rough copy of the magazine to all of the clients for them to approve, even though they've approved their...
So final look.
Yeah, even though they've approved their article or ad prior, I just want to make it 100% sure that that's what they want, because once I send the files to the press...
It's over.
It is until, I last quarter it was already plated, and I had to, send a change for the back cover because there was bad communication, partially my fault, partially the client's fault. Doesn't matter. They wanted their new ad on there. I had to make it happen. So there was, several $100s to change out the plate. Thankfully, nothing had been printed yet. So it's from the time we release the files to the printer, it's about 10 working days till hard copies are available. Prior to that, as soon as we release the files to the printer, that is the digital magazine. So then I release that file to all of the clients for them to get the juices flowing to their customer bases that the new magazine is coming. And we put it out on our social media platforms as well. Here's a digital edition, look to your mailboxes for the print. If you'd like to receive the magazine, I will add anybody to the mail list that wants to be on it. If they've made the effort, happy to do so.
Oh, so people can opt in to get it then?
Yeah, I get 10 or 20 requests every quarter for people that want it, and then I get a couple of people that get it and they don't like getting print catalogs and so on and so forth because they like trees more than they like information, so they opt out.
So we can send you there's an opt-out form too?
Yeah, it's just an email to me, and I send it to the printer to adjust the mail list before we run the labels.
Yeah, and so they're mailing it for you?
Yep. Yeah, well, how it works is it has to be trucked. I print in New Hampshire, and the magazine has to be trucked to South Boston and Brockton because those are the distribution points for the zip codes that I mail to.
Interesting.
I had, at one point in time, I was printing in Michigan because the cost of printing the magazine was almost 2/3 less than it was printing in New England. But then I had to truck it. And was still a better price point at the end of the day.
Yeah.
However, one truck one year got stuck in a snowstorm in Indiana, went back to Michigan, sat there for 2 or 3 days, and then came back to Massachusetts. And at that point in time, I had allowed a couple of dated ads, and the
date ran out.
Time.
Yeah.
So that was the impetus for no dated material.
So you learned your lesson.
Yes.
Interesting. And so how do your clients, how are they tracking that they know that your magazine is working, that they're getting phone calls or?
Well, phone calls, email inquiries, website inquiries. You know, with any business, you got to ask, how'd you hear about us? I do the same thing when if you called me, Bud, and said, well, hey, I'm interested in advertising, the very first question would be, well, how'd you hear about us?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you learn about us?
You were on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I heard about you.
But, yeah, I mean, you know, every business, you know, my wife...
No, I didn't know if there was
a... from Mass General Brigham.
I don't know if people are putting QR codes on their ads.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, there's a mixed bag. I mean, you know, the QR codes are becoming more popular for sure. But it's most of the time just, you know, whoever is speaking to the client first, how did you hear about BuildX? How did you hear about Social Magazine? That's just old-fashioned, you know.
Common sense?
Common sense.
Imagine that.
Yeah, there's still some of that around, I think.
I think some people have had that surgically removed.
Yes. Well, hence the need for artificial intelligence. Right?
Yes. Yes. So, all right, so did we forget to talk about anything else about Social Magazine?
I don't believe so, no. I think we've covered it pretty good.
All right, so let's pivot to your other career.
Okay.
Which is real estate.
Yes.
So what office do you work out of?
Right now, I just last November switched agencies to Jack Conway.
Okay. That's why we met each other at the Jack Conway.
Yeah, we met at the event in Wareham.
Yep.
Back in the spring.
Yep.
I'm really excited about working for Jack Conway. I've known Carol Bowman for years through doing business on the South Shore. I've been very active in the South Shore Chamber of Commerce over the years. I'm ending my 8-year run on the board. Carol was the president of the board a while back, so we first met. And I've admired how she's grown the business into what it is today. It's the largest independent real estate agency here in Eastern Massachusetts and probably in most of the state. Prior to that, I worked for Coldwell Banker out of the Hingham office as well. I just found, especially with all the new regulations that have come down for realtors, I found that a company like Jack Conway being local and the ownerships right here that they have are more adaptable and able to pivot more quickly. They don't have a corporate team of lawyers. I mean, Coldwell Banker is part of a huge entity that incorporates dozens of real estate companies.
Yeah.
They're one of the better known brands. You know, there's Century 21, Gibson Sotheby's, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, Jack Conway is great. They're really excellent. If you need something, they're there to help. Open door policy with anyone at any level in the company. I found it to be, you know, very, very rewarding and eye-opening, and the amount of things that they provide an agent for marketing assistance, ad development, and being associated with a number of other groups has just been wonderful and a lot easier for me as a realtor to market myself and market them at the same time.
Sure. Yeah, that's good. So you've been a realtor for how long?
About 10 years.
Okay. So this is fairly new.
Yes, and the reason that I
so let's
got
talk
into
about
real
that.
estate was I've always wanted to get my license, but it was one of those things that just kept pushing it down the road. And then, 10 years ago, there was kind of doom and gloom about the print industry. So I said, I turning 65 this year. I was 55 at the time. I said, I still got to work, so I better find a side hustle in case things go south with the magazine. And that's been nothing further from the truth. I mean, right now, in the last 4 years, just here on the South Shore, there's 12 magazines.
Wow. I noticed that it seems to be coming back.
Yeah, and there's a lot of individual town-oriented magazines, and I applaud their efforts. Some of them are doing better than others, and so on and so forth. But that getting into real estate,
activity breeds activity.
It does.
Absolutely.
It does. And I've always had an interest in real estate. I do primarily residential, and I do small commercial as well. I don't sell large office buildings or warehouse space, but for instance, I just did a transaction for a company in Rockland, like a 5,000 square foot building, and we just sold that. I did some space for a well-known company here on the South Shore. They were moving from Braintree to Norwell, so it's about 4,000 feet of office space. And I've done some real small stuff for like startups that need like 500 square feet and stuff like that. So I like both sides of that. Yeah. And I sell all over the state. I mean, it's funny because with real estate, some people that you talk to, they think you can only sell in the town where your office is.
That is a misconception, for sure.
I mean, 2 years ago, I had a huge run down on the South Coast. Sold a couple houses in Peyton Aram. I sold one and two in Westport, and then I had offers on a couple of others. So, and I just sold 2 houses out in Central Mass this spring.
Wow.
So I'll go anywhere, whatever my client needs.
You're not afraid to drive. We
no,
know that.
Exactly not.
Yeah. We know that. You wore out a car in 3 years.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we know you're not afraid to drive.
The best part of that story was my mechanic at the dealership bought the car because it had the transmission was starting to go, and it was going to be like $4,000 to put the transmission in. I'm like, time for a new one. So he had the exact same car. The transmission was good. He popped it in, gave it to his son, and the car went we got it to 500,000. It was awesome. No rust, no dents, no nothing.
Yeah.
Put in a new seat and a new transmission, and
off to the
a
races.
new car.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So let's pivot to ADUs as a realtor.
Absolutely.
So tell me your ADU story.
Well, people have been talking about ADUs for a number of years. I live in Hingham, and having ADUs up until the law change recently was nearly impossible. I was telling your production staff here earlier, my wife threatened my sons by saying that she was going to build a granny pod and be there, and both of them were like, "Oh no, not that. You stay where you are, and we'll travel." So my experience with ADUs, other than learning about them through your company and reading the state's riveting information.
Yeah, if you want to take a quick nap, grab onto that.
Exactly. And then we've done a fair amount at Jack Conway as far as having office meetings and such about ADUs. I think clearly it's a burgeoning business that I think there's a lot of opportunity because especially with the the land and real estate prices in this Eastern Massachusetts market and beyond. I mean, clearly it's not something that's unique to this area.
No.
I think the educational process when you're talking with a client, it can be eye-opening to them, as far as costs and what they can do and what they can't do. And, as you know, being in the business, there still are some differentials between one town and the other, what you can do.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
That's an
so
understatement.
That's where me being a realtor really comes in.
It's starting to loosen up. It's starting to level out. Millwell just passed their own local bylaw up to 1,300 square feet now.
Oh, wow.
Plimpton's 1,200 square feet. Again, special permits.
Yep.
Right? So, but, I see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I think as people understand them, the biggest fear in the beginning was it was all going to be little trailers.
Right. Or rented out to people.
Rented out. And I can tell you that having had, 300 Zoom meetings now, or more than that in person, probably 600 families I've spoken to since last November, because last November, just quickly, in Plymouth passed their own law in 24, and that's where we built the first one there. And so that I kind of got a head start on what was going on. And we had over 300 people through over 8 open houses.
Wow, that's fantastic.
300 families, excuse me. So more than 300 people, because they come in groups from 2 to 10 sometimes. Yeah. So, you do the math. It was probably a couple thousand people.
That's awesome.
And there were times you couldn't even move around in there. There were so many people. But just hearing their stories, that rental is like 2% of the market. It's nothing. It's about taking care of family members. Exactly. Yeah, and that's what attracted me to it and made me excited about it. And now when somebody, the rare occasion when they call and say, hey, we want to build it for rental, I just tell them I'm not the builder for them.
Right. Well, it's great to hear that the square footage has gone up, because I was talking to your guys earlier, and for me personally, 900 square feet would be tight.
It's tight. It's tight.
I'm 6'5", 240 pounds, and I've got a couple of dogs, and so,
yeah.
But no, that's great, and I've looked at all of your models online, and it really has come a long way, especially if you compare it to to modular homes of the past. I think that was the mindset.
Yeah,
that people
I think
had.
that did affect it. And again, I'm not poo-pooing modular. It has a place. It's just a different product.
Right.
It's not what we built. All ours are stick built and custom.
Yep.
They're all.
And I think that's important, because then it can be custom. I mean,
well,
yes, you can customize a modular home.
Yeah,
but
you can,
really.
but there's limitations.
Right.
You can't make the ceilings over 8'8" on a 1-floor house.
Right.
There's just things that are going to inhibit you from making it. It's all drywall, which I'm not a drywall fan. I like thin coat plaster and a bunch of other limitations. Again, nothing wrong with the product. It's fine. It's going to last a long time, but it's not what we built.
Right.
So have you had any clients, come to you and say, we need to buy a house that has room for an ADU?
I did recently, and I did refer them to you guys, but they've kind of pulled back a little bit, and I think they may be back in the fold again soon. But
so it's interesting you say that. So about, I would say 50% of this ADU, more than that, probably 70% of the ADU decision is family dynamics, and 30% of what they're actually going to build.
Right.
Especially if there's multiple children and one set of parents or one parent left, and then they're deciding which property to go to.
Yeah.
Especially if all the siblings live near each other or fairly near each other, or even remote for that matter. There's a lot going on.
A name from a hat.
Yeah, I mean, I've had several families that were ready to move forward, and they just couldn't make it. They just said, you know what, we're not going to do this. We're going to go something else, do something else. I think some of them will eventually get put back together. But one of the things that I've been joking is that we need like a family counselor to work with these people. I'm only half kidding. If somebody's listening, if you're a family counselor, we probably have a job for you. But to work with the families to work through that family dynamic. The money, the emotional part of it. The selling of the primary home, the family home, if that's happening,
Yep.
disbursements of antiques and, all those things, because it's not all going to fit in
Nobody
900.
wants those.
Yeah, well, it depends. Some of the antiques are worth a lot of money. So
Yeah, but that's a big stumbling block for us as realtors. For instance, my home is almost all antiques because I inherited it from my grandparent. I was an only child, so I got the funnel came into my house with all that stuff.
You were the last man standing.
Oh my God, cleaning out 4 or 5 houses, and what am I going to do with all this stuff?
Yeah.
And we had a dining room set, for instance, and the guy came. There was an antique guy had come to the house. This is 15, 20 years ago, and he was going to offer me over $10,000 for this dining room set. I was like ready to push it out the door. My wife said, "You can't do that. It's been in your family for X number of years." I couldn't get $500 for that right now.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, the market's changed.
I have kids that are 32 and 34. They have zero interest in any of that stuff.
Yeah, I had Good Deeds on the show here about house cleanouts.
Oh yeah.
And we had a long conversation about antiques, and they have pretty good luck disposing of them.
Carlos?
Carlos.
Yeah, good guy. He's also a musician. Did you know that?
I did. Yeah. We talked about that.
He played on my radio show a couple of times back in the day. Carlos V. Ramos.
Yeah.
Good guy.
We had a good conversation on how they get rid of a lot of the antiques and how they get repurposed. And he has I don't know if I guess artists that come in and buy these antiques and then turn them into something else.
Yep. A lot of repainting and stuff that would be taboo. We can't paint mahogany.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting though.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
All right, so let's talk about your radio host days. How did that come about?
A friend of mine had a show on WATD. Bob Hedlund, who used to be our state senator and was most recently the mayor of Weymouth, he just retired in July. Yeah. And excuse me, he had a weekly show on Monday nights and called Monday Night Talk, and it was kind of a mixed bag of information as to what they talk about. Clearly a fair amount of politics. So he asked me to come down and see the show and consider selling advertising for him. And yeah, sure. And so, long story short, there was an older woman that was selling ads for him. I'm like, I'm not going to step on her toes. So we were in the lobby, and Ed Perry, the longtime owner of WATD, we had met prior through the magazine. And he's like, you should do a show, with South Shore Magazine. So I'm like, thought about it. And so put together a team. We decided to do a 3-month run, see how it went. So the show was South Shore Live, sponsored by South Shore Magazine. And it was a 2-hour live show.
Wow.
And
live.
I had no radio experience. So
this is why we taped this show.
Yeah. So I brought in 2 women that had prior radio experience, and that one of them only lasted a couple of months, and then so I stepped into her role, and then the other one stayed with me for a while, and then after a while, I was 2 people was kind of flat. I'd listen to the tapes when I got home, and it's kind of interesting, and then filling 2 hours was not an easy thing. So
that's a lot. That's a lot, especially a live show.
Yeah. So
even with advertising, that's still probably an hour and a half of talking.
Easily.
Right.
Easily. So after a few months, I decided to look at it through a different lens and decided on having 4 hosts. Kind of like a Maddie in the morning banter format.
Yeah.
Liven it up a bit. And so it was, I had myself, one other guy, and 2 women. We each had different areas of interest. And we took turns booking the first hour. And towards the end of the 2 or 3 of us, we started having musicians in for the second hour, local musicians.
To play, to talk and to play?
Talk and play.
Wow.
And that evolved into a super popular format. I had musicians come from all over New England. The studio that we played in was half the size of this room.
I've been up there. I just was there to do a
it was
interview
generally stripped down acoustic. There may be 3 band members there,
Sure.
Playing acoustic guitar, acoustic bass, and maybe a drum kit, or maybe what they call a cajon, which is a wooden box that gives off percussion vibes. So we just, we took turns booking the first hour, and the first hour was who to know where to go, what to do on the South Shore. So I might have you on, I might have an author on, I might have someone putting on an event, or what have you. It was anything went as far as hour one was concerned. And then the live music hour was, we always had different sponsorship for that. It was generally a venue that a lot of musicians played at.
Okay.
We had L. Knife and Sons, the beer distributor. We had a different beer company sponsor the music for a month. And the fun part was we got to taste their portfolio during the first hour. So everyone was in a good mood by hour 2.
Oh, you were drinking live on the radio.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's FCC approved or not, but we did it a lot.
Yeah, well, it's over now.
Yeah,
so
it's over now.
That was in the books.
Yeah, so one of the cool things was there were a lot of musicians that came in. They were just starting out. And then over, the 10 years that we were doing it, became very popular. One is Aldous Collins, who's a big attraction on the South Shore. Jay Paceros, another guy. Jay travels around the country with some vintage bands like Three Dog Night and Gordon Lightfoot. He's the opening act for them. I had the best story I have was I was at Quincy Market with my wife one summer afternoon, and we're just walking around. There's this young woman playing guitar. I mean, very young woman. She was 14, 15, and I said, oh my God, this girl's so talented. And I felt kind of creepy, and I was like, I went up, I'm like,
hey, I'm on a show.
A radio show, how'd you like to come on? And she's like, well, I'm going to have to ask my dad. I'm like, yes, absolutely, please do, And so she traveled all the way from Bolton, Mass.
Wow.
Which is Apple Country.
I know where that is. That's a ride.
It's a good ride to Marshfield with her dad.
Yep.
And she came on the show, and she's like 14, but she was playing her own music.
Wow.
And the lyrics were like from somebody that's like 45 or 50. And
sure.
I'm like, wow. So then she traveled down to Nashville for a while. She got nominated for a Grammy.
Wow.
In the meantime, she had won all sorts of New England country music awards, and this award and that award. And another guy on WATD had much more exposure with her, John Shea. He puts on a show called Almost Famous, which is all music. And he helped her get involved with her record company and stuff like that. But, she was a great success.
Wow. And that all started from walking up and saying hello.
Yeah. And
that's cool.
The cool thing, too, was with the music aspect, because we were, over the internet, there'd be people from all over the world would call in.
Sure.
Oh, that's my cousin playing the bass, or, we're huge fans from Scotland. Or
that's wild.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So, we got to have meet a lot of talented people. Out of the 10 plus years of doing that, I can say there was only maybe 2 or 3 that were like, not so sure. But usually the talent level was amazing.
So that's interesting how you pivoted that show. And so just out of curiosity, during a show, how would you know if it was being successful? Like, what was your barometer?
At first, it had no way whatsoever because, unfortunately, and I still think to this day, WATD does not subscribe to Arbitron or any of the services like that. So, that was the tough part, selling advertising for the show. So, how many people listen to it? I don't really know.
Yeah.
But towards the last couple of years, we did Facebook Live during the during the music
So
session
simultaneously.
especially.
Yeah.
And, just on Facebook Live without any promotion really to speak of other than people that regularly listen to the show, we'd have 3,000 or 4,000
Wow.
people.
Okay. So pretty substantial
So that was
audience.
good,
Yeah.
but other than that, I'd go out and say, hey, bud, how'd you like to advertise on my show? Well, how many people listen? I don't know. Well, why am I going to spend the money?
Right.
So that was, so we had a core group of advertisers. A lot of them were from the magazine, and the magazine paid for the majority of the airtime.
Yeah, so you have to pay to have your own show.
Yeah, you had to pay, and that was fine. Wasn't anything crazy for 2 hours because they provided us with an engineer.
Sure, yeah.
They promoted the show. All I had to do was show up and have have guests.
And you're doing that every week?
Did it every week for 10 years and 3
Wow.
months. I think I personally only missed like 4 shows.
So that's like 500 shows.
Yeah.
That's a grind.
And the Ed Perry, the owner of the station, said, I only want you to do this if you're having fun. And towards the end of the 10 years, it was like, I was having a blast with the music part.
Yeah, yeah.
But the first element, the who to know where to go, what to do, was like, okay, well, what are we going to do?
Running out of things.
Running out of things.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Then occasionally people wouldn't show up. And
Yeah.
so then you got an hour you got to kill.
Yeah, you're scrambling.
So what do you want to talk about, bud?
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. No, that's interesting. Well, everything has a beginning, everything has an end.
Right,
So.
and it ironically, I wrapped it up just before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
I had another show too that was kind of comes back to mind. There was a young woman who was a musician. It was going to be her first time on the radio. And we had this huge snowstorm, and the station's open they're open all the time. But she's I want to play. So I went down by myself, and her and I did a 2-hour show of her music, and she went on to win a few awards too, and her career took off. But it's been some good stuff. But the timing was fortuitous to end right before the pandemic, because I don't even know what they did there as far as that was concerned. You couldn't have guests.
I don't know.
You'd have to have people calling in.
That was a mess for sure.
Yeah. So,
you never want to go back to that.
No.
That's for
No,
sure.
thank you.
All right. Well, that's some good stuff. So we're going to pivot a little bit.
Okay.
We're going to talk about how is AI creeping into your world.
Well,
We're going to do 2 worlds. You have magazine world and realtor world.
okay. Well, I mean, with the AI in the publishing world, clearly it's a big part of what goes on. I can say that we don't use it specifically to write articles or anything right now. I'm still relying on people's professional writing skills. I know that my wife and I have used it in the real estate world. My wife is a realtor too. We're Blackmur Group realtors working for Jack Conway. We've used it to do property descriptions and things of that nature, just chat GBT.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't done any deep dives into AI. Clearly, the world is changing rapidly as far as AI is concerned, and every time I pick up the Wall Street Journal, I'm learning. They always have like a special section, but then you just read about how different business sectors are utilizing it. Like the one with it was like, didn't really think about it, but the trash business, when all of these trucks that gather people's trash go to these sorting facilities, that all used to be done by hand. And they had a massive problem of attracting employees.
Not much of a fun job.
Every single industry.
Yeah.
They've tried $25 an hour, $30 an hour.
Yeah.
They still weren't getting anybody. So a company put together an AI program for their machinery, and its efficiency is over the roof. Its error is next to none. And it was a huge upfront cost, like anything is for technology, but they figured they were going to recoup their investment in less than 5 years.
Wow.
for a huge. This was like a BFI.
No, understood.
Scale place. Not.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
just
that's
a
not
big
much of a
church.
fun job sorting trash. That's for sure.
But and clearly in the the publishing business, I know it's utilized widely. I don't know. I can't say for writers for the Wall Street Journal or the Boston Globe or Washington, whatever, that they're using it or not. But I just don't. I'm just a newbie as far as really, trying to understand the whole concept.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself here, but I remember when the internet became more widespread, and I can't imagine life without the internet now. So. But I remember going, www this, www that, and like, this is never going to take,
Yeah.
But
yeah, I had a different take on it, but I definitely kind of lost steam in the middle, and now I'm obviously picking up steam. So, common misconception in your field. Let's stick to publishing.
Common misconception.
Yeah. I'm going to answer it for you. Print is dead.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, as you open your mailbox on any given day, and look how much direct mail, print advertising there is, oversized postcards, smaller postcards, catalogs,
I've been getting a lot of window
coupon books,
window replacement
yeah,
flyers.
Oh yeah, window, yeah.
A lot of those.
You're almost, you should be thinking about retirement. Come to dinner on us.
Yeah, those are interesting.
Financial planning.
Yeah.
Those are, get a ton of those. 3/4 of my mail is print. And the thing that's interesting now, having been in that business, is that the customization that can take place, because of computers and such. You're not printing out 10,000 of the same card. You can customize it for BuildX and do a couple of hundred run, and then jump in using similar content, and the press is still, or the printer is still going.
There's no plates they can just change on the fly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, it's interesting for sure.
And I think there's still a niche for all of that stuff. I mean, I'm finding that the newspaper, hard copy newspaper business obviously took the biggest hit as far as publishing is concerned, and some of the national magazines and stuff. But if you're a niche publication or a local publication, there's still a want for that. People still do like to have the tangible, feel of holding a magazine or a book. People are like, I have a Kindle, but even younger people I still like to read a book.
Yeah, I see a lot more. I have 3 kids in college, and
God bless you.
Yeah, I know, right? And then, 2 in college and 1 in high school, but soon to be college. And I see them all now picking up books again and reading through books.
Yeah.
Not school books, other books.
Yeah.
Things they're interested
books
in.
for pleasure.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, lightning round. We're going to lightning round.
All right,
now.
here we go.
Favorite tool you can't live without?
For work?
Could be any tool.
Oh. I like my DeWalt cordless drill.
Yeah. Yeah, can't go wrong there.
I do everything with that.
I know, it's crazy, right? Every now and then I'll be joking with my guys. We'll be hammering away with a little hammer drill or a little, cordless drill, and I'm like, man, I remember when we used to have to get extension cords.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all that.
I just redid. I live in an antique house, so there's always
Sorry to hear
stuff going on. And this summer, every time I open the garage door, it's getting showered with sawdust and wood fragments. And
Yeah.
so this building's over 200 years old, and I start taking this thing apart. And, back then they used scrap wood.
Oh, yeah.
Used over and over and over again.
Yeah.
One of the things holding up the garage door was this piece of wood that used to be a door frame because it still had the metal tongue in it. There's cut nails in there. There's regular nails.
That was built before Home Depot and Lowe's, so you could run down the street and get whatever you needed.
Took that all apart, put that back together, and primarily just using my DeWalt.
There you go.
Except for the cutting.
Shout out to DeWalt.
Skill saw.
Dream project you'd love to work on?
Oh boy. I'm very interested. So most of my life for recreation, I've been a boater, primarily sailing. But as I get older, I've always liked hiking in the woods, and I'm actually going up to a camp this weekend in the Adirondacks, which I have belonged to for the last 5 years. I'd like to get involved in a project that, as I age, helping maintain the trails, and that type of stuff, and being part of, maybe, a particular organization that is doing that, and helping others learn about the environment, stuff like that. I've been on the water my whole life, and I love it, but I just feel more of a pull this way as time goes on.
Nice. Best piece of advice you've ever received?
From a business standpoint, that was from my mentor, who I was a guy who owned a small ad agency over in Braintree. And I broached this idea to him about getting involved with this magazine. He actually provided me with free office space, a phone, et cetera, for a while.
Wow.
And then I ended it was more convenient for me to work out of the house. But he's like, first off, don't have any employees that, you have to pay taxes and health insurance, and don't mortgage your house. I did neither. And that was super helpful because I know a lot of fellow small business owners that did both and regret that they did so.
Yeah, that's a big one. Definitely don't hawk your house. Advice you would give your younger self?
Certainly be more patient and be more open to others' ideas.
All right. Favorite food and favorite dessert?
Okay. Key lime pie.
All right.
Dessert.
Any particular place the key lime pie comes from?
Where has an excellent key lime pie is Hornstra Farms, actually.
You know what? I have had some of that.
I had it over the weekend. And, other than Key West.
I just thought of it. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
From where it originated.
Yeah.
Boy, my favorite.
There's a lot. It's funny though. I've been to Key West. I don't know, the last 3-4 years. There's a lot of different versions of key lime pie.
Oh, there sure is. Yeah.
And there's certain ones that I really like, and certain ones that I don't.
I don't like the ones that are dense like cheesecake.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a big cheesecake.
Yeah, I like the fluffy
one. I like the
one.
little fluffier.
Yeah.
I actually like the slices of lime on it.
Yep.
Which is delicious. Favorite food. I'd have to say a nice New York sirloin steak with potato and a good salad, lobster bisque on the side.
Okay, all right.
Other plug for a local place. Best lobster bisque I've had for takeout is a place called the Weymouth Lobster Pound, which is inside of Previty's Marketplace in Weymouth.
Yeah.
Not their Hanover location.
Okay.
This woman has this lobster bisque, and on the top, she probably has 1/8 of a pound of lobster meat.
Really?
Lobster bisque, you usually get these
little
chunks.
Little taste, yeah.
And you get your crackers. This is rich, creamy. It's got the nice tomatoey sherry base.
Yeah.
The lobster meat floating on the top is just to die for.
I'm getting hungry just talking about it.
And she has great other options.
I don't think I've ever been to that one. I've only been to the Hanover one.
Well, if you go in there too, the Previty's has amazing subs.
No, I have to stay away from that.
Yeah, well, if you're in the mood. But.
No, I'm always in the mood, but I have to stay away from the bread. Bread is not good for me. If you could have dinner with anyone alive or dead, who would it be?
My father.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been gone quite a while. I was an only child.
Oh, wow.
He and I were buds.
Yeah.
But he died very suddenly when I was in my 20s.
Oh, a long time ago,
So,
yeah. Yeah, that sucks.
But yeah, hands down.
Okay.
Or one of my grandfathers.
Sure. Last question. If you had $10 million to donate, who or whom would you give it to?
Well, it was all one lump sum.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want with it. You have $10 million, you spread it around.
I would spread it around to, of course, to my 2 kids, give them some. But, speaking to, RTR earlier, I would donate to their fund. I just believe in what they do, and the team that they have there. All they care about is their clients, and it's just something that. And I have a special needs niece that we can't really help, so that's an impetus for that.
Sure.
But and then I'd blow some of it myself.
There you go. You can be your own recipient.
Yeah.
That's it. Wrap for today's episode of the BuildX Podcast. Thank you for Stanley from the South Shore Magazine and South Shore Magazine and Realtor.
Yep.
For joining us. Please subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed it. See you next week. And remember, just build, baby.
Just build.